So I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything, but I just feel like America has been under attack for a while, and this Baltimore bridge collapse is an attack.
In the midst of and managing a mass casualty multi-agency incident here, approximately 1:30 this morning, a vessel traveling through the Patapsco River outbound collided with a column, causing the collapse of the Key Bridge. Unfortunately, we understand that there was many as up to 20 individuals who may be in the Patapsco River right now, as well as multiple vehicles.
It makes no fucking sense for a cargo ship to just run right into this big-ass bridge in the wee hours of the morning. So being that the bridge is literally the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
September 12, 1814. British ships of war approached the port of Baltimore.
5 of them were sitting there in the Patapsco River.
On board one of these British warships, an American, Francis Scott Key.
Talk about a witness to history.
The man who literally wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, which is our national anthem,
was on board the ship wondering and asking himself what flag would be raised over the fort. The American experiment, the American nation for that moment was...
It was the glory of victory.
This shit just seemed eerie to me. I know y'all saying that the ship lost power and you can see the lights flickering. Y'all could be turning off the power and shit. I'm gonna need more than that, personally. But I feel like this is something that we're not gonna hear from. Like, this is gonna happen, then it's gonna, like, pass by. We're just gonna see Diddy. This shit don't seem right. It seems like it's signifying, like, something kind of dark. Like, I already feel like America is kind of, like, on the decline. So this just seems like one of those moments. Like, I'm sorry, like, for instance, East Palestine, Ohio, the train derailment, to me that felt like an attack.
The train derailed on February 3rd at 8:54 p.m. It was carrying 20 cars of hazardous materials, including vinyl chloride, a highly flammable toxic gas that causes central nervous system problems and has been linked to a host of cancers. Days after the accident, Norfolk Southern worried the vinyl chloride could explode, so they did a controlled burn, potentially releasing phosgene, a gas used as a chemical warfare agent in World War I.
There was reports that they were scared for their safety before they got here.
It smells like a chemical concoction in here. I'm literally dizzy.
Test the air for any harmful chemicals still lingering. The company has been working with the EPA to run these tests and has cleared over 550 homes in the area.
Your copy? We had non-detections of VOC throughout the whole house.
What would you attribute that smell to? Because I know damn well that was not a normal smell that we have in the house.
Smell is... I'm not sure exactly what it could be.
Areas that we have deemed safe, we believe that because the science and the data proves that.
We found carcinogens that Ohio EPA is not finding.
It looks clear, but you stick your stick in the water, you see all the chemicals pop to the surface. It's kind of frightening.
Citizens are safe. I think my drinking water is safe.
More independent testing finds dioxins, the most toxic compounds on the planet, in the soil, water, and in people's air filters there.
Dioxins don't go away. You get exposed over time. And dioxins, I say, are the fentanyl of chemicals.
Maui feels like an attack.
Oh, no, there's no evacuation. There was no sirens. There's no firefighters. There was no police.
Did you or anyone you know receive an evacuation notice to get out?
Nothing at no point in time.
Toto feels that the government has failed their people, failed to help and to prevent so many losses in a catastrophe First-hand testimonies claim that police were in some cases blocking the only road there was to escape.
And I walked all the way from Safeway to the chart house. Not one car had moved. And I was wondering what was stopping the traffic. Well, it was a policeman. And I got to the end and I looked up north. There were no obstructions. There was no reason to keep those cars there.
Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm under orders to keep them here. And I said, the fire is right around Safeway. It's going to hit Front Street. You know, these people got to get out of here. And he said, I'm following orders.
No way.
And so I just kept walking.
None of that. There was no one saying, get out. You know, at that point when I realized I could start feeling the fire, like I could feel the heat on my body at my home. Now, before the fire, we had a 4-bedroom house. We paid $4,500 a month.
I know they've been asking for volunteers to move off island.
It was right across the street from the ocean. It was beautiful. It was huge. It was nice. Beautiful. Huge yard. Now we have a 4-bedroom in Kaanapali. We pay $9,300 a month.
Most of the Airbnbs are going for $15,000 a month.
Hundreds of families were kicked out of the hotels.
Now that we've opened tourism and families were in the hotels and now everyone's getting kicked out.
I'm just reminded about this young man who attempted suicide last week, jumped off a cliff. It was here, on Maui. His family lost his home.
When asked about what went wrong in the protocols and how loss of lives could have been prevented, the mayor answers,
yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't know how I can answer your question.
They encountered police blocking the roads. There's only one road to escape, and I've talked to many testimonies.
I know that the police did everything they could to save lives.
At least 100 people died in those fires.
Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head, sir? You don't want to answer, huh? Okay.
We'll talk to you another time, guys.
Yeah, you won't talk to us another time. That's the thing. It's a very cowardly move.
For the mayor to convert the short-term rentals to long-term, to get the tourists out of the houses into the hotels, and the residents out of the hotels into the houses.
A project that was initially planned for homeless people.
So behind me is a community center with...
Which is silly to me. Like, you know, we have a really big problem to solve. We don't know what solution is actually going to be worthwhile to pursue if we don't try any. I mean, right now we're not trying anything.
There are enough.
Many displaced families like Pakalana still have a mortgage to pay for a house that does not exist anymore.
The real question is whether that incentive is enough of an incentive for people.
Century-long battle over land that began when American plantation owners overthrew the Hawaiian kingdom.
So now a billionaire comes in with his money, doing it by force, removing people out of their land.
We see these sort of things going on every day where what little land that was left for us now is up for grabs.
This is a rock wall Zuckerberg built around his 700-acre property. And just to give you some perspective here, you could fit more than 500 football fields inside. It's one thing to want to protect your property. It's another when Native Hawaiians like Shannon Buckner still own pieces of your land. So the land that you own is just across this fence right here?
Yes.
But Mark Zuckerberg has put up this wall and fence and it says no trespassing?
Yeah.
What would happen if you tried to go over there?
I'll get arrested for trespassing.
Even though it's your land?
Yep.
Kuleana lands are passed down through the generations without a will or deed. The lack of paper trail means some descendants don't even know they own land. Other times, under a complicated legal system called quiet title, a buyer like Zuckerberg can sue Kuleana owners to force them to sell their lands, usually at auction for pennies on the dollar. And that's just what he did, suing hundreds and infuriating many more.
Mayor Bison didn't learn how bad the situation was in Lahaina until late that evening, when the whole town was already in flames.
The water and food poisonings.
There's a city of 150,000 people where for years residents have been periodically advised to boil the tap water, and for a week last summer there was no reliable water service at all. It's not in a developing nation, it's here in the United States, Jackson, Mississippi.
You have to inject the meat.
Bags contain a mixture of salt and sodium nitrite, the additive E250.
This damage can be induced relatively quickly. So nitrosamines are known to induce damage in the large intestine. So it can induce DNA breaks, mutate cells into sort of pre-cancer cells.
Industry is a money-making business, so they're very risk-averse. They're not going to fund a study that is bad for their business.
To the state of Michigan's January 27th, 2022 seizure of our farm.
Biosolids were a great fertilizer source for us to go along with the operation.
During the last year, we have received very little guidance or information from the state regarding the length of the seizure.
In the early 1990s, the EPA was looking for a way to dispose of waste from wastewater treatment plants. So it recommended using biosolids, which are essentially treated sewage from homes and businesses, as fertilizer. But nearly 30 years later, in 2018, the EPA's Office of the Inspector General admitted the agency didn't know the impact that pollutants in biosolids could have on health and the environment. Regardless, states continue to offer biosolids to farmers, in some cases for free.
We are pleading for answers regarding what is to come next for us.
Are there high levels of PFAS in any of them, and if so, where's it coming from? And one of the bodies of water was the Huron River. By far, by thousands times, was Tribar.
As parents, we want to make sure that we are setting up our children for a future.
And did they know that they were doing that?
I guess what I would tell you is the law says it doesn't matter.
A future rests on the success of the family farm.
It's all I've ever done.
And thriving family business we have created.
I built a reputation to sell beef.
He had to have an auction. It all got on display right here in front of our house for weeks, and then it was all gone. So just to watch him have to see that dream go away.
And build, for lack of better terms, an empire that my kids could run. It'll never be the same old, bud.
When Grosdick's farm was shut down, he had already sold hundreds of pounds of meat to multiple customers.
We've been eating his meat now for 7 years, I believe. I stopped.
Still eating this meat?
Yes, we are.
The months are turning into years, and we are growing more and more desperate for answers.
What would it do to me was the first question, which I never really got an answer to. I finally got the paperwork today showing the levels. These two are this cow in here.
4.02.
Yeah.
And so, do you know what that means?
No, not really.
It scares the shit out of me.
What did they say?
Basically saying that they're going to destroy the herd and
They're gonna kill the cattle.
Yep, they said they're gonna take the cattle and destroy them, lease them out for other schools to do research on. They said they can do whatever they want with them, but they would not be mine anymore. And then they want to put land restrictions on the farm that I have to file with the deeds office, saying that it can never be used for agricultural purposes again. If you want a zero tolerance in the state, why is Tribar still dumping PFAS down the drain?
An operator at Tribar opened the valve of a 15,000-gallon tank and discharged hexavalent chromium.
What is that? How toxic is it?
Hexachrome is a carcinogen, it's a cancer causer.
Ignoring an emergency alarm that went off 460 times over the course of 3 hours. Tribar is an automotive supplier that makes parts for big names in the auto industry, including Ford.
I hope that after this most recent hexavalent chromium spill, that the city is paying more attention to them.
I want to say I blame the government for allowing sludge to be applied to the farmland, but really I blame corporate America the worst, because they get away with anything they want. They can dump stuff down the drain, they can poison this, they can do that, and nothing ever happens to them.
That's a clear attack. Our schools being so shitty, despite all of the technology and advancements that we have.
Are you saying that right now in the United States, a parent can send their child to school and it's not guaranteed if they will learn how to read?
Yes.
I think people would find that alarming.
Yes, it is alarming. That's a clear attack. Like, it's like a third world fucking country over here in this bitch. for a reason. And then, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but Biden has been pushing his infrastructure bill.
I'm proud to announce $1 billion from the bipartisan infrastructure law. Bipartisan infrastructure law will be used to build this new bridge.
And actually, in his bill, it has that cars by 2026, I believe.
Your next car could have new technology aimed at curbing drunk driving related crashes. It's part of President Biden's new bipartisan infrastructure bill.
In it, automakers will be required to implement prevention technology in all new vehicles by 2025.
Are going to have some sort of auto shut off mechanism.
How will the technology work? What will it look like? That remains a mystery.
If you're driving drunk.
$1.2 trillion infrastructure bill.
Bipartisan infrastructure.
And requiring automakers to install anti-drunk driving systems in all new cars.
Like, shut the fuck up.
In terms of lives saved, this is the most significant legislation that has been passed in MAD's 41-year history.
None of y'all dumbasses better not fucking advocate for that shit. That shit sound crazy as shit. And then when he was in Pittsburgh to talk about his infrastructure bill.
See it coming out that on the other side of the concrete there, this side, up by the crane.
Driving across it, in my mind, I knew the bridge was collapsing. I could just feel it.
There was a bridge that collapsed.
Behind on our infrastructure. For so many years, this is mind-boggling.
Y'all already know that I'm punching in. So if you paid close attention to that speech that our feebly president gave.
It's my intention that federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge. And I expect the Congress to support my effort.
He said that he talked about the federal government. That means us.
You said the federal government's also going to pay for the repairs. I'm just curious, this was a ship that appears to be at fault. Is there any reason to believe that the company behind the ship should be held responsible? And then also, you mentioned...
That could be, but we're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to pay for it to get the bridge rebuilt and opened.
What did you make of Israel's decision?
We will be footing the bill for this bridge. Which, that makes no motherfucking sense to me, right? So, y'all say this was an accident. Clearly, the ship hit the bridge. Why are they not being held responsible for rebuilding the bridge? Then you're talking about time, because he said, oh, well, we just need to start it.
We're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to pay for it to get the bridge rebuilt and opened.
What did you make of this?
If you pay attention, he never said that we were going to get reimbursed for it, because what the fuck would that look like anyway? That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. And he's talking about time. By the time you get the federal government to agree to pay to rebuild this bridge, as well as what other fucking riders you're gonna have in that bill, giving money to Ukraine, Israel, etc. Maybe you want to increase it to a breathalyzer and a fingerprint. I don't fucking know. But anyway, nah, that shit ain't right. What are you dodging? Are you dodging like a thorough investigation? Inquiry minds want to know. Why would you not want the shipping company to just pay? It's like you didn't even try. You're like, oh no, like we're just going to handle it because it's just going to be faster. You're the president of the most powerful country. And you can't put some pressure on the shipping company to expedite the motherfucking claim? And they're like, oh, how do they have that much money for a bridge, bitch? They're a multi-billion-dollar company, bitch. Plus, with their insurance, that is a fucking risk. Do you really think that an insurance company that insures a fucking cargo ship that travels through international waters is not aware of the risk of said ship hitting a big-ass bridge? Like, come on. Like, let's not be a little special. They have their policies. I'm sure they have umbrellas. And if not, they can still fucking foot the shit. Okay? They're the one who hit the bridge, right? Like, I guess I'll just be a conspiracy theorist at this point because this shit just is not adding up. And they better keep the bridge named after Francis Scott motherfucking Key. If they change the name of the bridge, I know for sure that I'm right. Okay? I know it's some bullshit if they change the name of it. He just wants to stand in front of the bridge with his sign and be like, yeah, I rebuilt this bridge in record time and I can do this. Sit the fuck down somewhere.
I'm ready to go. All right, guys. See you.
We are so fucked with either fucking presidential choice. Like, why do I gotta pick between these two fucks? If Biden wins, if Trump wins, we are fucked either way. Like, nobody's gonna be happy either way. Nobody's gonna save us. I'm sorry, guys. I know everybody loves Trump because he's been gone and it's been sucking, but
I recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
الله يقطع امريكا ويقطع رئيسها ان شاء الله، جاب لنا غير الهم والغلب، امريكا تحكم هذا الرئيس يخرب دياره ان شاء الله، ايش عمل لنا غير هم والغلب؟ ترامب تبعك ترامب هذا مخه ضارب.
2 million Palestinians living in Gaza are physically locked in by closed borders, meaning civilians in Gaza often can't get the necessities and medical care they need.
السلطة الفلسطينية وتوجهنا مكتب الصنوار ودخلنا جوا ومش قادرين نسافر. عندي القرحة هنا وسطت هنا وعندها طلعت عمري 15 سنة.
What will happen with your health if you aren't able to get out of Gaza to get medical care?
تولف حالي بنزين بدي حالي وولف حالي عندي موتين.
Is Aaron Bush now? I am an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest.
بدي اموت حالي، بدي افجر حالي، بدي اصير ارهابي، بدي اصير ارهابي انا. ولا في ميه ولا في اكل ولا شرب، فش بالمره فش يعني بالمره.
As Palestine's deepening political divisions increasingly impact daily life, the people there are desperate for reconciliation. Congress ordered the embassy to be relocated back in 1995. Every president since then has issued waivers delaying the move, but President Trump had promised not to, and conservative Israelis were thrilled.
الذي يجمعنا اليوم جمعة الغضب على القرار الأمريكي الظالم.
Since Trump's announcement, Hamas and some of the other factions, you can see their flags behind me, have called for a day of rage. One of the terms of the reconciliation is that Hamas put down their weapons. Is that something you would ever consider?
Nobody can touch the weapons because the people fed up from what is called peace process, and the people are admiring what is called military resistance against occupation.
We're in Gaza City. This is the 30th anniversary of Hamas. This party is incredibly popular. You look around, there are hundreds of thousands of people, many of them waving green Hamas flags. People are very clearly not happy with Trump's latest move.
A year later, bin Laden publicly declared war on the U.S. He wanted it to end its support for Israel, its boycott of Iraq, and to get out of Saudi Arabia.
And it was just totally bizarre, just fucking gunfire everywhere, a couple of RPGs, and thinking, what the fuck am I doing here?
Well, this is it, right here. The business of war. All the generals coming with billions upon billions of dollars of taxpayer money to buy weapons to fuck shit up.
I don't know how to explain the war to myself.
It's called the Special Operations Forces Exhibition, or SOFEX for short, and it's hosted by Jordan's King Abdullah II, one of America's only allies in the Middle East.
and have yet to have any clear thought of like, yes, we actually made a difference there, because we didn't at all. There was
one, because it borders with Syria, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq, and two, because Special Ops is code for taking down terrorists, insurgents, or anyone else that the government deems to be undesirable.
Out here in Baghdad, life is hard. Got us pulling fucking 2 hours ago, and then they ump it up to 8 between 12. I don't give a fuck, I think I'm stuck in hell. I'd rather be there instead of jail. Putting Baghdad on the map, send me my mail. Ain't got mail in months.
There's not a moment of the day that go by that not a thought about Baghdad never crosses my mind. It made me who I am today. Going to a country where you don't know nothing. Knowing it's going down, knowing you're hearing the bombs and the gunshots.
Or like any other trade show, advertising, but here it's like F-16 with sniper targeting pod, the Hellfire missile, the Javelin missile. It's crazy. It's the first thing you see.
I'm already ready. That's the worst shit you can go through at the age that we was going through it.
And all this advertising is aimed at what audience? Generals.
No difference fucking made.
Jihad is mentioned here. It is to mean carrying the weapon and to kill those Americans.
That deployment was funny because there was no clear-cut mission. The whole time you're wondering, like, what are we really doing?
Germany.
Turkey is here, China's here, Jordan is here, the Russians are here, all selling weapon systems to whoever wants to buy them.
Are we really in combat? Are we not in combat? Who's actually the enemy?
Warning the West that Al-Qaeda would attack again.
Waving at us, and next minute, as soon as we drive by, we'd get shot at.
It'd be one of the most innovative weapon systems.
I'll tell you, it is a hugely successful in Iraq and Afghanistan, not just in the United States forces, but internationally.
Now, when he says successful, what he really means is that it's great at destroying stuff.
We hit houses with the wrong address. And then we'd have to apologize. The psychological side of it, now, I still carry. If you look and you put yourself in their place, how would you feel if you had someone kicking in your door and you as the man want to protect your family, and me coming through the door with bad intentions? Because the intel that I received told me you were a bad guy.
We want to restore our Islamic nation's freedom. Just as you violate our security, we violate yours.
We're riding in the open tailgate of a truck, and people are getting fucked up all the time, and we'd still go out there with it.
And since 9/11, if you join the fight against global terrorism, it also means that Uncle Sam will cut you a nice big check for weapons, especially if they're American-made.
Part of our $87 billion budget provided for us to have some secondary armor put on top of our thin-skinned Humvees. This armor was made in Iraq. It's high-quality metal, and it will probably slow down the shrapnel so that it stays in your body instead of going clean through. And that's about it.
In fact, both Egypt and Syria are currently trying to put down popular rebellions, and Iraq is basically in a full-on special ops civil war. And where are they getting all these weapons? SOFEX.
How hard is it to come and buy arms on the open market?
For states, it's easy. For terrorist organization or criminal organization, it's more difficult. But for example, in America, the main supplier of drugs cartel in Mexico are the free market in America.
Sure.
Truth is, the U.S. was turning a blind eye to the flow of weapons illegally into Mexico. That is outrageous.
Most Americans have no idea that we are effectively arming the enemy next door.
You are correct. You are correct. This has been a major bipartisan failure of the United States government for many decades now. You wouldn't believe when I was raising this issue, there were people in the government who said, no, they're not really military weapons that go to Mexico. It's just handguns. But then to me, you're missing the point if they're purchasing, serious killing power.
They're seeking a level of weaponry that outguns Mexican law enforcement authorities. We see machine guns, like the M134 minigun kit, for instance, which is used by the American military and is capable of shooting 2,000 to 4,000 rounds per minute.
Iran bought this kind of plane officially for commercial operation. But Russians say, we don't sell weapons to Iran, we sell Antonov. It's a commercial plane.
So,
kind of helicopter, the North Korea have some of these kinds.
So the North Koreans bought some of these?
Yes. So it's pretty scary.
Marine we ran into who had just finished his second tour in Iraq.
It's weird, man. It's like everybody's like real cordial with each other, but like at the end of the day, we're like buying weapons to destroy each other.
That's it.
I don't want to sound too like liberal or anything.
No.
It's really not glamorous.
Yeah,
This shit fucking kills people.
Exactly.
It's like they don't discriminate. They'll sell to anybody who has fucking money.
What's crazy about this is that America gives a lot of these countries foreign aid so that they can come here and buy weapon systems from their companies. It's kind of like a parent giving their kids a credit card and saying, go to the mall that I own and just buy whatever you want.
Norenko, right here.
Right.
Next to an American arms display. And they used to launch 9-foot Norenko rockets on us.
Really?
Yeah.
The insurgents would buy Norenko rockets and then use them against you, and they're right next to the American military companies. Interesting.
Gunfire and crap like that shit don't bother me, it's whatever. But IEDs, they had that shit in garbage, man, and it could be anywhere.
The next booth over were shells that were exactly the same as the ones Iraqi insurgents used to make roadside bombs, or IEDs.
You ride through the hood and you see a milk jug on the side of the road, but the milk jug look kind of cut, or a trash bag. The trash bag look kind of ripped up. That's the shit that they will put the fucking bombs in.
Back up! Clear the road! Possible IED!
Take the tips off of these, and you can see it's pretty hollow in there. And they'll pack this whole thing full of C4.
Box on the side of the road, it's just, cringe and take the turn. Hopefully you don't hear a bang.
And it creates some hellacious shrapnel.
I avoid garbage like the plague on the road. I will swerve my car to the other side. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And here you can just buy it like you would a chocolate bar.
Exactly.
Weeks later, Al-Qaeda launched suicide attacks on the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. U.S. plans to grab bin Laden in Afghanistan never made it to President Clinton's desk. And the
consequences will have a ripple effect within the region and beyond. Not only does it inflame sentiments, but it really provokes people to take action.
America will pay the very big price.
He says President Donald Trump's decision to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem 2 years ago was short-sighted and frivolous.
So let's talk about the story the Palestinians like to tell and the media like to repeat over the last 3,000 years. They've come across Jews, Arab, Christians, Muslims, Druze, Turks. They've never met a Palestinian. Thousands of books from the last 3,000 years that write about Jews and the land of Israel. And in archaeological digs, we find Jewish coins, Jewish texts, and Jewish artifacts. Right to identify yourself however you like, but you don't have the right to reinvent history. There isn't a single book or piece of archaeological evidence that point to a Palestinian people. Jerusalem was never the capital of a Muslim empire. It was always Cairo, Damascus, or Baghdad. Jerusalem was mostly important to the Muslims when they were fighting against the Jews or the Christians. This makes sense, as Jerusalem, which is mentioned some 600 times in the Jewish Bible, isn't even mentioned once in the Quran. The region from Judea to Palestina, and this is how the name came to be. It was intended to disconnect the Jews from the name Judea. 700 years after the destruction of the temple, the Muslim colonized the land of Israel and said that Muhammad ascended to heaven from the place where the Jewish temples stood.
It's not gonna go over well. Like, we are fucked either way. Like, nobody, like, who the fuck's gonna be happy about either of those two choices? And Biden coming back? He can can barely like walk and shit. And talk.
He recently said about that he wants to see the economy crash this year. A sitting president. Very happy to see Northern Ireland's Executive Assembly reinstated last month. Now Northern Ireland is a fully functioning government.
And y'all was all pumped up over that State of the Union address.
Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons. Just like History Watch 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy.
This bitch been not talking for 4 years and then he get riled up a little bit and y'all fucking love it. But honestly, fuck all the politicians. We need to get rid of presidents. We need a panel. And we need to vote quarterly on the important issues. All of the representatives, they need to come up quarterly and present their motherfucking bills. And if they not getting the shit right, they need to be voted out yearly. We need to have voting days off. That should be national holidays. So I'm not saying that these alleged said attacks are from foreign or domestic origins, but the border crisis.
Men, women, and children pushing Mexican soldiers out of the way in an attempt to enter the U.S.
They've been setting up this border crisis for years. All this shit.
In the news lately, there's a good chance you've heard this.
Defund the police.
Defund police departments.
Defund the police.
It's a rallying cry that has gained traction following the killing of George Floyd by
In 2016, I was invited to this queer Black migrant gathering. We were talking about where are the spaces for us and how are those organizations not taking care of our unique identity.
Oh my fucking God. Those motherfuckers. Those motherfuckers, like, those are some slick motherfuckers. They some slick motherfuckers. But I knew the shit was weird, okay? I always knew the shit was weird.
Actual co-founding body of the Black LGBT Migrant Project, or BLMP.
These bitches use Black and gay people to usher in the shit they want to do.
The journey is hard and complicated.
Migrants are actually ordering DoorDash and food deliveries on the Mexican side to get by until we take custody.
The bitches that started defund the police were also advocating for Black migrants.
Them buses need to get turned around.
Do you understand this?
I'm mad as hell.
Like, we actually have to build something for our people, for Black, queer, and trans migrants and first generation folks.
To have a safe space?
Que yo facture más que ustedes sin necesidad de andar como esclavos. ¿Capichi? Esa es la diferencia tuya y mía. Que yo siempre voy a hacer dinero sin mucho trabajo.
To come over here?
Why did you come?
Taking money.
Money?
Yes.
For job?
Yes.
There's no job in China.
Maybe. And look what the fuck we got going on, guys. Do you guys see this shit?
As the men around Brito responds to his arrest, kicking and striking officers, Brito comes out of his shirt and more.
Do you guys see this shit?
New, vicious Venezuelan street gang.
This is one part of one migrant gang, and there are others.
Apparently what they're doing, they're coming from Venezuela. They're asking the Border Patrol, okay, write us down, we're claiming asylum. And then they're coming to New York where they're trying to recruit other migrants to be part of their criminal enterprise. It's a brilliant business model.
They gonna delete this shit.
Lawyers that are able to navigate them through the legal process, service providers. We also partner with shelters that they'll be with other LGBTQ people so that they feel as safe as they can.
So not only are you categorizing yourself just, okay, I'm gay, and I'm also a migrant. So we need something for gay migrants.
For Black, queer, and trans migrants and first-generation folks.
Which is fine and dandy, but why do you have to separate yourself from the straight migrants? Shouldn't you just be advocating for migrants in general, not just like gay migrants, which I see that's what you were doing.
Their American dream was to commit crime.
Using gay. Shout out to the LGBTQ plus IA peeps. I fucks with everyone, okay? Equal opportunity over here. I fucks with everyone. But they literally use that shit to usher in they fucked up shit.
In the ICD-10, the International Classification System for Illnesses, pedophilia is coded as the sexual preference for pre-adolescent children. It is listed under the sexual disorders. Whether the persistent occurrence of sexual thoughts and feelings for pre-adolescent children have been acted upon or not is not relevant to the diagnosis. Like every other sexual orientation, pedophilia can have different characteristics.
Many single adults here, many young men here waiting in line for days, they say. The next step would be transportation to the collection center. Now you can see the sections of lines that go down about the length of a football field. I mean, they're basically, once these migrants are transported and taken into custody, the next step is processing it, and by plane or bus they would be sent to another sector to be detained to seek asylum.
Border officials have processed more than 10 times as many Chinese migrants as last year.
What are you seeing down there?
I'm seeing a lot of migrants, Jason, and let me tell you.
Y'all bitches, y'all slick. Y'all are really, really slick. But we see that shit.
And the fact that we have so many that are single adult males. Now, if I just spin you around here 1 second this way, Thomas, you can see they're lining up the families and the women and children that'll go first when the vans come. But the vans are overloaded because so many migrants are coming, so they have...
We see that shit, y'all. You guys really need to put on your thinking caps. Aside, because you know what? They use Black people and gay people to fucking further their agendas.
Dozens of people in Atlanta are facing racketeering charges in connection with protests over what they call Cop City.
People have been protesting this project for more than 2 years because it is an 85-acre facility that's estimated to cost about $90 million, and it's going in this area where it is surrounded by low-income, majority Black neighborhoods. And people say that it's going to disproportionately affect these people.
This piece of property is outside of the city limits of the city of Atlanta. It's actually in a neighboring county, DeKalb County. That means that the people that are the most affected by this project, the people that will have the forest they live around destroyed, that will have to deal with helicopters flying overhead, live ammunition, ongoing protests, those people are being disenfranchised because they cannot directly appeal to their elected officials. There are people that are against over-policing, and they are concerned that $90 million is being spent to train local law enforcement officers in military strategies. And then there are people like me who are very concerned with government transparency issues, and there has been lack of transparency and widespread misinformation around this project.
The mayor has said that this project is needed to have a well-trained police force and also firefighters, and that it's needed to improve their de-escalation training and to boost morale and be able to recruit more officers. And state troopers shot and killed a protester at the site. The prosecutor investigated the case, and in late August, he determined that the shooting was justified and that he would not be pressing charges or bringing charges against the officers involved.
Using the RICO laws, which are normally used against organized crime, to go after some of these protesters. What is he alleging that they are doing?
So they're calling this, it's organized crime. Prosecutors have collected about 5 terabytes worth of evidence, and we expect a final plea hearing for June, so next summer.
an opportunity for forces to come together across the country and show our resistance, because they're not going to do this on our watch.
Hundreds of police officers patrolling the New York City transit system, from the platforms to the trains. And hundreds more MTA police and state troopers, alongside National Guard troops, conducting random bag checks. Stationed there on orders from New York Governor Kathy Hochul after a series of high-profile crimes.
The deployment comes after a subway conductor's throat was slashed just last week.
Bless you. You're a good man. You're my angel.
Just today, we learned of another attack, a conductor hit by a bottle. She's going to be okay, David.
The governor deployed the soldiers after denying the city's request for millions in overtime funding for the NYPD.
So if a white male came up and said, hey, like, we need to defund the police because we want some fuck shit to go around. And look at the cities.
You don't let them come over here and take our community. I see why he did it to you. This is horrible. You got all different type of places to send these people. You don't have to, you want to interrupt this community that's thriving, that's doing well? No, your house. Send them to your house.
Baltimore is on there, New York is on there, Chicago's on there.
It's running lawless with illegal Venezuelans taking over our streets. We feel like prisoners in our own homes. You guys threw us to the wolves, and now we have to deal with the trouble you brought to our neighborhood. Unlike the illegals, as a legal immigrant myself, I know what I had to do to enter your country. I was required to do a background check, vaccinations, pay an expensive fee, bring a work letter from my previous job. Shall I go on?
So this is going to usher in some fuck shit.
Eric Adams does not work for us. Eric Adams works for the white power structure. He's a cop. If you're going to come out here and be mad at that young man who just got to America because he's tired of sleeping on the floor in a dust hut, then you need to get mad at that half homo sitting up in City Hall pretending to care about black people. What I'm saying is your energy looks like somebody who's got secrets that the NYPD are threatening to release. You're moving like a weirdo, my guy. So they are putting legislation, not just to hurt me and you, but to hurt the country. They've said it. The Republicans have said they are going to exacerbate this immigration crisis just to take votes away from Joe Biden. So they will cut off their own nose just to keep us in the bondage. Who does that? Savages. That's who does that. They are emotionally attached to the idea of their superiority, which is intrinsic to the idea of our inferiority. I see you, I see my brother.
Nobody's going to vote for that. Now, a black woman saying it.
Eric Adams is a power bottom. Eric Adams.
And especially when it's coming from this large fucking worldwide tragedy, which is George Floyd.
2 words, not okay. There's actually a picture of me in Time magazine with my knee on a suspected terrorist's chest. It wasn't on his carotid artery. It was across his chest. All these shootings, not okay.
It's gonna have a lot of emotion behind it. So if you notice, every time they want to further an agenda, there's some tragedy in front of it. Like, as fucked up as that sounds, yeah. Am I the only one that sees this?
Moreno is telling his followers to avoid living on the streets in the United States. They can, quote, invade empty homes and live there, saying under U.S. law, if a house is uninhabited, it can be seized, referring to squatting rights in our country.
Like, these bitches really, I think...
She claims squatters moved in on February 6th and refused to leave.
He's got no documentation.
Just bills.
So, Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
And where's your lease? She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore. He's got no documentation.
My deed is current and legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction.
Has been like in the making for years. Like they've been setting this shit up for a long ass time.
A large group of these males, Mr. Brito included, are standing in front of the shelter and they're blocking 42nd Street, forcing people to walk around them.
Four of the men, prosecutors say a total of 14, jump in, kicking those officers. Mayor Adams supporting DA Bragg's resistance to rush the prosecution. District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office declined to prosecute, citing a lack of evidence to prove his involvement.
He wanted to get it right.
We have to ask the question, why did these 4 individuals be released on their own recognizance?
There was migrants actually robbed a woman in broad daylight not too long ago. They molested my super's high school daughter, gang molested, and they need to stop the border crisis and just stop the illegal invasion of America by terrorists. And we know that terrorist cell groups are already here.
It's confirmed a Lebanese man apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol has acknowledged being a member of Hezbollah, considered one of the most dangerous terrorist groups in the world.
The DEA put together another task force to investigate Hezbollah's narco business.
The biggest operation ever targeting a drug trafficking network that led us to a terror network.
Hezbollah's drug profits were supplying weapons to militias killing American soldiers in Iraq and funding high-level political corruption in countries like Paraguay and Venezuela. Operation Cassandra started running into roadblocks, not from Hezbollah or the Colombian drug cartels, but at home, from the CIA and the Department of Justice.
I was told specifically we couldn't use Hezbollah as the terrorist group in a narco-terrorism charge. It was just said that's not going to fly right now.
They defunded us. They defanged our operations from a prosecution. No one would take our cases. We arrested people that would be potential cooperators, and they weren't prosecuted, but they were detained, and many of whom were eventually let go. It was ridiculous.
Public elected officials, all of us, must be concerned that our government could have anyway been involved in drug trafficking.
Tried to cross into Texas from Mexico March 9th, telling border authorities he was heading to New York where he hoped to, quote, make a bomb.
There may be mental health concerns.
They're just waiting for the opportune time to invade.
If you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am.
It really doesn't fucking matter how you identify. They don't give a fuck. They don't like you because you're American.
ابشروا بالدقمات والمفخخات. اليوم أعلنا الخلافة وبنتصر في العراق وتنتصر في الشام وفي كل مكان. نقسم أمريكا على قسمين. نقسم أمريكا على قسمين وسندمر أعداء الدين كلياتهم.
That is what Americans really need to know.
And people who are on the know are already terrified.
FBI Director Christopher Wray just last week warned of dangerous people crossing the border.
There is a particular network that has where some of the overseas facilitators of the smuggling network have ISIS ties that we're very concerned about.
That's a clear fucking attack.
There was 8 guys start knocking my trees and start burning my trees on the other side. So I told him, please don't do that. Please don't. They start surrounding me. I went home and I got my gun and I shoot in the air. They arrest me.
They arrested you?
Yeah, they arrested me.
On your property?
Yeah, on my property, yeah, just because.
Trump is defending his latest comments on the crisis, where he said some migrants who come to the U.S. are not people, but animals.
Why do you use words like vermin and poisoning of the blood? The press, as you know, immediately reacts to that by saying, well, that's the kind of language that Hitler and Mussolini used.
Because our country is being poisoned.
Trump saying he uses the rhetoric to stir debate.
It also gets people thinking about very important issues, that if you don't use certain rhetoric, if you don't use certain words that maybe are not very nice words, nothing will happen.
So I just hope that all of the American people, regardless of race, religion, color, favorite things to do, favorite football teams, favorite politicians, favorite artists, if you're on Drake's side, if you're on Future's side, whoever the fuck. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about those people. We need to be focused on the shit going on here, for real. Like, I hope we can all stand together and make something shake, because I really, like, this shit really is not looking good. I really feel like they want us all in the house. And I just feel another lockdown coming, like, real shit. Yo, we are beefing with the government. I'm not gonna lie to you. We gotta be real. Like, this is not a time to fucking be playing around. Like, we gotta stand up. Not me punching in again. The sooner that y'all fucking realize that it is the elites and the politicians versus you, and that they do not give a single fuck about you, your family, your life, your well-being, your comfortability, nothing. They don't give a fuck about you. If they could save a fucking dollar or fucking execute you, you would be gone in a motherfucking heartbeat, as long as they could get a bill passed or something afterwards. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be a real person and it wouldn't be a sad situation, but boy, are they going to exploit that situation for their own good. Even if there are no conspiracies behind the stuff that I just stated, that I personally feel like this shit is fucking weird as fuck, and there is no fucking way that all of these things are coincidences. There are too many motherfucking coincidences. This is not the time. If this was going on in 2016 or something like that, I'd be like, okay. But the way I'm seeing the progression is honestly unreal. First of all, I just bought my finger. First of all, the motherfucking bridge, bro. This ship was going outbound. What fucking problems could you be having going outbound? Nobody said, no, don't take the fucking ship out there. It's going outbound. That's not good. Y'all having issues. It came out that the black box info 2 minutes around the situation is just gone. That's exactly what I needed to see, because I don't give a fuck that in the video you can see the lights flickering on and off. That shit was not right. I'm sorry. So, the bridge, it's weird as fuck. Maui. These people's island got burnt up. Somehow there's some hotels and some big mansions left, but everybody else is fucking displaced and homeless and living in cars. But you guys have Airbnbs for $15K. People are paying $9K per month. The residents there of fucking Maui. And they're still paying a fucking mortgage to a house that is not there. Now, when I hear that, I'm like, did you guys not have insurance? Or what?
I'm sure you'd also think that all the people that had their homes burned down were going to be receiving insurance payouts. All of this is happening because the government will not approve any building permits and won't even let the insurance adjusters in.
But the insurance is probably absolutely out of this motherfucking world. So there's one thing that is like kind of like the progression of where we are today. So I'm sure they knew. Damn, that sounds really bad.
People talk about Katrina being an equal opportunity storm. Didn't make a difference if you were black or white, rich or poor, but it wasn't exactly an equal storm. If you were a black homeowner, you were more than 3 times more likely to have lost your home in the flooding than if you were a white homeowner. And just like it wasn't an equal opportunity storm, it has not been an equal opportunity recovery.
What a colossal fiasco.
We are gonna die out here if they do not see somebody out here right now.
Do not wait for the government. That became our motto.
A horror show at the Superdome. Close to 25,000 people were trapped there for days.
Didn't even show up when we were stranded at the Dome for 5 days. Why do you think they're gonna show up?
In the heat and stink.
We need to feed our babies. We need to give our babies some water.
Somebody rescue us.
Thousands more baked on overpasses along the interstate.
This man jumped to his death because he just couldn't take it no more.
But there were a lot of, I guess, uninsured Mauians, or their shit didn't cover. Did they not have flood insurance? Are like, well, no, that would be a fire. Shit, I'm thinking this bitch flooded. See, that's why I mean, it's not, but anyway. So, like, did they not have insurance on their house? So, in order to keep their land, they have to continue to pay their mortgage. Do you hear that? These people are either in a hotel. One day they can get a phone call saying, hey, you need to get the fuck out. They're in little pods and shit like that. These people had oceanfront views and shit. Bitch, nah, I would be so pissed. Anyway, I am pissed for y'all. So, these people are displaced. But somehow you guys are still bringing tourists in. That is a slap in the face. Y'all need... Never mind, let me stop. This is another thing. Their fucking censorship is out of this world. You cannot say a lot of shit. I have so many fucking videos, like, that I don't know when I'm gonna upload that shit, cause... But for real, like, you can't say shit. They're fucking arresting people for RICOs for organizing and protesting. They are shitting on our motherfucking constitutional rights. Like, no bullshit. They are really shitting on us, like, really bad. Like, we are low-key losing. High-key losing. We are definitely on the losing end of this. Maui. They let the kids out early, apparently. The parents didn't even fucking know what was going on. No one got alerted. Nobody got a text message. Nobody got a Facebook post tag. Nothing. They didn't get alarmed. There weren't any alarms going off or anything. And the motherfucking island is just burning the fuck up. People are dying. Their shit is... the fire is just fucking spreading. They do not give a fuck. And the mayor... to fucking say that he did not know the island was burning down until it was burnt down? Shut the fuck up. But do you see how they have someone who looks like the Hawaiians to let the Hawaiians know what the fuck's going on? Okay? So, just because people look like you doesn't mean that they're fucking for you. Anyway. You're the mayor of fucking Hawaii. You're old as shit. Everybody fucking knows you. There's no way everybody does not know you. You would think that nobody would contact you. Your phone wouldn't be fucking blowing the fuck up when there's a big ass fire going on. Like, who the fuck believes that? They say that the police were blocking the evacuation routes and they knew that it was fires and there was a risk of fires because back in the day, and they were supposed to put in like some fire blocks or whatever, and they didn't do the shit. But instead they put evacuation routes, which you need evacuation routes anyway. So they did not take the proper steps to ensure that this didn't happen. So this is where my little what the fuck antennas go off, because people do not realize you are fucking Hawaii. That is a huge fucking travel destination. That's why y'all took the shit. Okay? That's why y'all took the shit. Y'all should be fucking swimming in motherfucking money. Y'all should be swimming in money. So I do not want to hear no bullshit about funding, because I know y'all getting funding. What the fuck are y'all doing? That mayor ain't doing something right. I know, like, all of y'all back there, like, fuck all of y'all. But anyway, so y'all ain't doing shit. And I know you guys are getting buku motherfucking money. And you can't even help these motherfucking people out. Why are there fucking... You guys are just trying to push those people out so you can make it your fucking fantasy land or whatever. That is really fucked up. Okay, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying not to be biased, but I can see the shit, and y'all are trying to push those people out. That's why some of those people have mortgages, and they're trying to hold on to their land so y'all don't take their shit. Which y'all already taking shit. Y'all saying it's carcinogens and shit like that. So y'all can find the carcinogens in Maui, but y'all couldn't find the carcinogens in motherfucking East Palestine. So we gonna move over to East Palestine. That shit was fucked up. Why did they blow up that vinyl chloride? Why did they blow that shit up? Controlled burns? That seemed like that was the problem. How many total cars were there of that specific substance? To me, the train conductors did not feel safe going there. They didn't feel right before they went. So I know that they had a gut feeling to say something and be like, hey, like, we don't feel right carrying all this shit. They're like, oh no, y'all go, y'all go. So y'all don't give a fuck about safety, which I see. It's all about that motherfucking dollar. They do not give a fuck about you. Then they got this shit. And then it seems like the shit, like if this was a conspiracy, like if they wanted to do something, it didn't even blow up. So y'all like, oh shit, like this shit didn't even blow up. Like, I don't know anything about this, so they could have been in the right, but that shit doesn't sound right. Like, y'all couldn't try to do something else, and like, why did y'all want to do that so quick? And then y'all can't find no motherfucking carcinogens in that motherfucking bitch. Y'all are fucking weird. Y'all sent a whole bunch of kids out there to check them people's houses. The migrant crisis. They've been setting up this motherfucking migrant crisis for a long motherfucking time, bitch. Y'all are crazy. With as many people hate motherfucking Americans, you gonna have our motherfucking border open and you're not gonna support the residents, and you gonna say fuck you to the residents and hire all these migrants. You guys do not give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about y'all either. Fuck y'all. The shit's fucked up. I hope you guys can fucking see it. And then this is another thing. There are kids who train as motherfucking kids going to little military camps to motherfucking fight and shit. And y'all arguing about kids playing video games and being violent. They need to be learning how to aim and shoot. The fuck? You guys are in motherfucking La La Land, and I hope all of you guys are motherfucking strapped. You guys better get fucking strapped, and you guys better be as hard as you say you are. If some shit do really pop over here, I really hope it doesn't, and I love America, but our borders are motherfucking open, and a lot of people hate us. We got so many enemies, and our borders are open, and the government, they do not give a fuck. They always got a black person or Hawaiian person or whatever the fuck type of person to carry the motherfucking bad news, bitch. And then you're like, oh, well, they're black, blah, blah. Bitch, fuck y'all hoes, too. All of y'all are down in it. All y'all politicians, y'all be going to work every day producing no results. I can't go to work every day and not produce no results. What the fuck are y'all doing? Why do we have the same motherfucking topics? Bitch, fuck y'all. I'm not playing with y'all. Love y'all.